Tom Aspinall's manager, Eddie Hearn, has requested the release of his client, Tom Aspinall, the UFC heavyweight champion. Championship rounds with the quote here. Some pretty interesting stuff. We'll read it right now. It says, Eddie Hearn has just asked Dana White to release Tom Aspinall from his UFC contract. I would like Dana White to release Tom Aspinall from his UFC contract. I will guarantee Dana that I will pay Tom Aspinall a minimum of 3 times more of what Dana White is paying him. Dana should also be happy for Tom Aspinall to receive that deal. Aspinall is extremely unhappy. Unfortunately for him, he has signed a contract, which is one of the worst, most grossly underpaid athletes I've ever seen. It's absolutely disgusting what they're paying him. Things need to change. The timing of this is just not great with the fact that we don't even know when Aspinall is going to be back yet. So I understand that his contract might not be great. You can see the headline here. Eddie Hearn asked Dana White to release Tom Aspinall from his UFC contract. We knew that when Tom Aspinall signed a management contract with Eddie Hearn that the feathers were going to be ruffled. We know the history between Eddie Hearn and Dana White. They don't like each other, especially with Dana White entering the boxing world with Zuffa Boxing. But yeah, the timing of this is just really weird because, again, I did a quick search here. Still Tom Aspinall is still recovering. And as far as we know, he is back in the gym training, but not cleared to spar yet. So we're not even at a point where we can make a target return date for Tom Aspinall here. Like, I could understand if Aspinall came back and, won his title and then he's looking over the contract and making these comments. That makes sense. But Aspinall's not even ready to come back. I just don't get the timing of this. Obviously, we do have the interim heavyweight title fight coming up here pretty soon on June 14th and about 2 weeks between Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane. But I don't know. I just don't think this is going to end up well for Tom Aspinall. First and foremost, I don't think Dana is going to bite on this. Maybe he will. Maybe he's tired of Aspinall. But if you're looking at the UFC heavyweight division right now, even with the addition of Alex Pereira, it's not a very strong division overall. If you look at the overall names, I'd say it's one of the weakest divisions it's been in years. If we're kind of going down the list here. Right, you've got Aspinall, you got Gane, Volkov, and Pavlovich are fun fighters, but they're not like needle movers. Waldo was kind of a neat story. Josh Hokett's been making some noise. Curtis Blades obviously had a great fight with him, but I mean, the heavyweight division is not as you think back to the days when they had Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin, you had these big names in the weight class, and I just feel like right now we don't really have a lot of that, especially as you're going down the rankings right now. So, from the UFC side of things, I don't think they need Tom Aspinall. The UFC always figures out a way. I mean, they said they didn't need Francis, and they certainly moved on from that. But I don't think if you're the UFC, you want to just release Tom Aspinall and take the bait here from Eddie Hearn. And the other thing is, then wouldn't Dana be taking the bait from Eddie and, doing what he wants, which I don't think Dana White wants to give any inch whatsoever to Eddie Hearn as well. But I just don't think this is good for Aspinall in a way because, it's only going to ruffle the feathers and, he's under UFC contract. Remember, years ago, we had this whole situation with Randy Couture wanting to go fight in Affliction for you old heads out there. And he wasn't able to because his ironclad UFC contract would not allow him to go and compete elsewhere. And I just think that Dana's not just going to go, we're going to tear up the contract. We're going to release him, especially in one of the, premier divisions for the UFC. So I guess again, I would understand this more if Aspinall was competing. I would even understand if he was having a return date anytime soon, but we don't have that. And there's still a possibility, that Aspinall may never fight again. There's no guarantee as far as what I'm seeing and hearing. You let me know in the comments if there's anything otherwise that you guys are hearing. But I mean, I don't think it's 100% guarantee that Aspinall is going to make a full recovery. We hope he does. Anything with the eye, it can be a little bit tricky. We've seen eye injuries in the sport before here. But yeah, I just I don't maybe it was just, to be fair, I did not watch the full interview of this. So I don't know if Eddie just brought this up out of the blue or how this was sort of presented to him. But yeah, I just don't think this helps Aspinall, especially with the fact that he is under an ironclad contract. You don't want to be, we already know that the UFC was not happy with, Aspinall with his dad making the comments about going to boxing and all that. Obviously that didn't go over very well either. Listen, I'm not siding with the UFC here. I just know how contracts work. And I just think it'd be very difficult for Aspinall to get out of his contract, and the UFC doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to bow to anyone as far as them having a contract here. So that's where, like, I just don't get, like, I want to see Aspinall get paid well. I want to see him have big opportunities, but I just think the timing of this is terrible. If we're talking about a healthy Tom Aspinall and someone that's ready to go, it's a different story. But again, I just don't know the, sort of the ins and outs of this. If we look at some of the replies here, Eddie Hearn versus Dana White in a ladder match. I mean, it is kind of entertaining. I just don't think this helps out Tom Aspinall too much. $5 million per fight. How about no? 100K. The discount code, people having some fun with this. Can't wait to see Dana's response to this. F. John Jones is the champion everyone wanted. How ironic he's in the same position John was almost 2 years later. It's been interesting with the heavyweight division as a whole. If you look at the heavyweight champions, they've all kind of had issues with Dana, right? Like going back to Stipe, right? Like there was some issues with, the pay and some of that stuff. John Jones, Francis obviously leaving. Now Aspinall, it's going to be interesting. First Ngannou, then Jones, now Aspinall. UFC can't catch a break with their heavyweight stars. Tommy made a big mistake letting this guy be his manager. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, in the sense that, like, it's going to be hard for Tom to get out of this. Like, the UFC would have to release him, and there's no reason why they would want to do that. The UFC could just ice him and not give him fights. I know they have obviously the 3 fights per year, but I don't know how that works with the contract. I don't know a lot about UFC contracts, guys, so I'm not really the guy to ask. I don't know how all that works. I actually had someone ask me that the other day. I'm not entirely sure. Her wants this for what? To be a nice guy, or maybe have embarrassed and make himself look good. Sure, Tom will get super paid for a fight or so, but then no one will care about him after. What's he getting paid? Dana bought Aspinall. I mean, the part about him being unhappy, it's just like right now, like Tom's not even fighting. So it's not like I don't know. I think you're hitting a beehive here a little bit with Eddie Hearn doing this. Now, saying that, this is entertaining, obviously, but I want to see Aspinall fight and compete and get back in there. Aspinall and Ngannou would be the biggest non-McGregor Jones related fight in the world. It would be big. I don't know if it would be that big. It would be pretty big. And I'm sure Dana will respond to this. I could just see Dana responding to this in like some sort of like interview for like 5 seconds being like, oh, we'll take care of it. Or maybe he does go off on Aspinall. Actually, he'll probably go off on Eddie Hearn and be pretty upset with this. Not only is Aspinall not going to be released, Gon Pereira fight is about to be for the undisputed belt. That could happen too, right? They could strip Tom of his title. That's what I'm saying. It's like the UFC holds the cards here, unfortunately, right? And I say unfortunately because I do want to see Aspinall fight the best. I do want to see him get paid well, but I also know that it's the UFC and they hold all the cards most of the time. Ngannou Aspinall would be great. I mean, I do want to see Aspinall and Francis. That would be interesting. Isn't UFC supposed to be where the best fighters fight each other? Why are we about to get the best 2 heavyweights in the world fighting in another promotion? I mean, again, there's no guarantee he's going to do this. Tom is the champ. Why would he want Dana to just let him go? And keep in mind, a lot of this is the personal animosity between Eddie and Dana White here that's coming out in all this, right? Won't happen. Dana knows it's almost a guarantee Eddie will do something. That's the thing too. Yeah, actually, you know what? I take back my statement here. They're not going to release him because, yeah, they would know for sure that they would do a big fight with like they would put probably Aspinall on Netflix and do, a big fight on there. So Dana would prevent that. And again, I know Dana came out and said, oh, we didn't announce the McGregor and Holloway fight on purpose while the MVP fight was going on. Of course they did. They've always done this type of stuff. So yeah, my thoughts are, I don't think this is going to work out in Aspinall's favor. I think Eddie Hearn's only going to make things worse for Tom Aspinall in the UFC. And again, it's very hard to get out of UFC contracts. So yeah, I think bad play here by Tom Aspinall's manager. So let me know your thoughts in the comments here. What was your reaction to seeing this quote? Do you think it'll happen? Do you think the UFC is going to stand firm? Do you think the UFC is going to treat Aspinall worse after this? I mean, that's a possibility too. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.